Hello and welcome back to Pedro's Movie Cavern. I am Pedro, and after posting the poll on the community page on the channel, it seems that people want to see more movie recommendations, which is perfectly fantastic, which is what I was hoping that people would choose. So I've decided today to do some underrated action films throughout the decades. There are four movies. Yeah, there's four movies that I'm going to go through that I think need to be reevaluated, and just given the love that they deserve on physical media as well. So the first one I've chosen is a film from, I think it's 1991. Can I find... My eyesight is terrible. I can't find the year. Let me just look it up a sec. Right, we are going to the IMDb bills, because I use IMDb for every single thing that if I'm looking for movies, I use IMDb. So we are looking for 1988. Right, so this film's from 1988, and it stars Tom Berenger and Sidney Poitier and Kirstie Alley, Clancy Brown. Who else is in it? Just very recognisable people. Is the movie Deadly Pursuit, also known as Shoot to Kill in the States. I think Deadly Pursuit is the British title, or the European title, because Shoot to Kill would technically be classed as too violent. Like back in the day, you could only show like one or two guns on the cover of a DVD, which is, I think, is to do with, that was set by Resident Evil. I think, I'm not 100% sure on that, but Shoot to Kill, aka Deadly Pursuit, is a very, very cool movie. Is directed by Roger Spottiswoode and produced by Ron Silverman and Daniel Petrie Jr. Daniel Petrie Jr., I think, was the one who wrote the original Beverly Hills Cop. I think so. I'm not 100% sure. I think he is. I think he did write Beverly Hills Cop. And now my internet's being an absolute arsehole. Right, there we go. Let's see if this will work. Yeah, so it's directed by Roger Spottiswoode, who has directed quite a lot of movies, and he's quite well known. Sorry, I'm miles away here. I'm just trying to... I hate the way this looks. I'm going to have to sign in. Sign in with the old Googlies. It's not my internet being crap, it's stupid IMDb just being slow. Right, Daniel Petrie Jr. There we go. Hopefully this will come up now. Yeah, so he wrote the original Beverly Hills Cop, he wrote Toy Soldiers, and The Big Easy from 1986. So he's a good writer. Turner and Hooch. What else has he written? I'll just add that on. Roles. Right, so as a writer, yeah, he's written quite a lot of stuff. So yeah, Daniel Petrie Jr. wrote Shoot to Kill, aka Deadly Pursuit. It stars Sidney Poitier and Tom Berenger. Sidney Poitier is an FBI agent who is on the trail of a sort of serial killer who has somehow managed to find their way into the rugged mountain wilderness. I'm not sure where. Probably Oregon, because that tends to be where most of the wildernesses of America are. So so he hires Tom Berenger, who is a tracker, to help track down this serial killer who has somehow managed to blend in with a group of hikers, who is led by Kirstie Alley. It's no, it wouldn't be Oregon. I think it's on the border of Canada and America, right at the top. I don't know the geography of America, so I can't say what's what. This is a very cool movie. The action sequences are well staged. There is quite a lot of good stunt work in this. And I first saw this on BBC One around about 11:30 in the evening one night. And I was pleasantly surprised by how much fun this movie is. And it's definitely worth a check. Like, the cast is really good. Sidney Poitier, Kirstie Alley, Tom Berenger, and Clancy Brown as well. I think this was just after Highlander as well. So after Highlander, where he played the Kurgan, then this, and then SpongeBob SquarePants. But yeah, Shoot to Kill, aka Deadly Pursuit. Very cool movie. Definitely worth your time if you can check this out. Then we have another 90s movie. This one was from 1994. I think it's 1994. It's directed by Perry Lang and is written by John Sayles. John Sayles is a well-regarded screenwriter of sort of like, not art house movies, but that level of sort of, I don't know, adult movies that aren't adult movies, if you know what I mean. But he started off working as a writer for Roger Corman. Like a lot of people in Hollywood from that period of time, like Joe Dante, John Landis, all those type of people started working with Roger Corman. So, like the first film Joe Dante directed was Piranha, which is a Roger Corman production. Then he went on to do things like The Howling and Inner Space, just these great 80s movies that everybody knows. John Landis as well. Fucking the dude made American Werewolf in London. Yes, there was that issue with that tragedy that happened on the set of the Twilight Zone movie, where he didn't take any responsibility for what happened. I think he got sued as well. But Landis made Once Upon a Time. No, he didn't. He made American Werewolf in London. But prior to that, he'd made Kentucky Fried Movie. Is it Kentucky Fried Movie? I think it was Kentucky Fried Movie. John Landis. And the Blues Brothers, obviously. So, yeah, Landis made Blues Brothers, American Werewolf in London, and Schlock was the one I think he made. I think he made that for Roger Corman as a director. Let's have a look. What else did John Landis make? Director previous. He's got 48. Stanley Superhero Kindergarten. Like, he hasn't really done anything. The last film John Landis directed was a film called Burke and Hare, which was from 2006. It stars Simon Pegg and Andy Serkis, which was about grave robbers. The previous film he made before that was a TV movie called Slasher, which starred no one of any sort of like credibility. I say credibility, it's not that. And the one movie before that was the sequel to the Blues Brothers 2000 from 1998. I mean, Landis has been hit and miss for many, many years. He hasn't really done a decent amount of stuff. But yeah, so John Sayles was part of that crew of people from that period, that time period. I don't know what's going on with the PC, but it's going a bit weird. Yes, but he went on and made like sort of art housey type of films. Like, is it John Sayles? I want to say it's John Sayles. I'm probably wrong. Yeah, it is John Sayles. Screenplay by John Sayles and Ethan Rife and Cyrus Voris. Excuse me, my nose is really, really itchy. John Sayles, yeah. So he's written things like Lone Star and sorry to keep looking at the screen. Lone Star, Brother from Another Planet with Joe Morton from 1984, which is a very low budget movie about an alien that comes to New York City. The alien is played by Joe Morton, who is the captain of the police in Speed and plays Miles Dyson in Terminator 2. Then he made a film called Men with Guns, which is a very different film to a film called Mean Guns, which stars Ice-T and Christopher Lambert. 8 Man Out. Yeah, so he's done these really sort of quite independent sort of Americana movies, as well as writing and directing some foreign language films as well, one set in Mexico and stuff like that. But he wrote the Spiderwick Chronicles as well, which was very weird. But he wrote this, which is called Men of War, and I had to look at that then. It's called Men of War. It stars Dolph Lundgren, and who else is in this? Charlotte Lewis, who is in The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy, BD Wong, from Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, Anthony John Dennison, Tim Guinea, Don Harvey, Tiny Zeus Lister, or if you've ever seen Friday, you know him as Debo, Tom Wright, Catherine Bell, and Kevin Tighe, who is from many things, but you'd recognise him if you watched the series Lost. You would recognise him as the man who played John Locke's father, but he's also the owner of the Double Juice in Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. And Trevor Goddard. If you don't know who Trevor Goddard is, Trevor Goddard was a British actor who was like quite muscular and everything, but he tried to pass himself off as Australian. He played Kano in the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie, and he's in Deep Rising as well, and some other like lower budget stuff. But he died at a very early age from, I think it was a drug overdose. I'm not 100% sure, but always used to say he was Australian, but he wasn't. He was British. His parents came out and said no, he was British. But he's in this, and this is a very cool movie. This is a movie about a sort of merc who has given up the life as a mercenary to try and adjust to civilian life, and he's offered a lot of money to strong arm I guess you could say, a native of a South China Sea island into giving up their rights to the valuable resources on the island. But he then sees what this corporation is doing and decides to go against them, which starts a war on this island. It's a good action movie. I'd say this is probably Lundgren's best 90s output. It's probably the highest. Well, it probably has the best production value. It's also shot in 2.35 anamorphic aspect ratio as well, which you never find with these movies. So there is some like actual like cash behind this film. There was another one that came out around the same time, I think it was, or maybe a couple of years later, which had Dolph Lundgren and Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa in it, which was called Bridge of Dragons, which was directed by Isaac Florentine, who would go on to direct the sequels to the Walter Hill film Undisputed, which is where we found Scott Adkins and the character of Boyka. That would go on and become like a massive cult following because of how good the action sequences are. This film is very, very cool. Like I said, I really enjoy this movie. This is an Anchor Bay DVD, by the way, and it's 99 minutes long. Dolph Lundgren's pretty cool. There's some really good action sequences in this movie, and I don't know if you can see the inside. It's got I'll tell you what, I'll take the sleeve out, you can see the artwork on the inside. Ugh. I have a pop filter in front of my microphone, so it's kind of in the way I have to pop it over. But yeah, so that's the artwork on the inside. It's got the entire crew of the mercenaries. It reminded me of a couple of films that came out in the 80s that starred Christopher Walken. One was a film called McBain. Not McBain from The Simpsons, but McBain was a film directed by James Glickenhaus, who made a lot of like New York based action movies in the 1980s and exploitation movies. So it was James Glickenhaus, and there was another one as well with them as well. I can't remember. I think they were called Pacific Pictures. I'm not sure, but they did things like The Exterminator and Blue Jean Cop with Peter Weller and Sam Shepard. And so there was that film called McBain with Christopher Walken as a merc who was hired to go to a South African country and overthrow the government, if you know what I mean, to instigate a coup. And then there was another film called The Dogs of War, which also stars Christopher Walken as a mercenary hired by the government to start a coup, I guess, again in another country. This kind of reminded me of that. There's not enough merc movies made anymore, I don't think. So we need some more mercenary movies. But this is very cool, and I don't know if it is available anymore. This might be out of print. Well, it's DVD, so it's probably out of print. And it's an Anchor Bay DVD, so it's probably massively out of print. But it's definitely worth checking and tracking down if you can find it. Then we have one of the best sort of American martial arts movies of the early 2000s and the late 90s, early 2000s. Back when France was doing, I say France, there was a lot of French and American co-productions, usually through Luc Besson, like The Transporter, and obviously like the Taxi movies and stuff. But this one is a film that no one really ever talks about it anymore, and it's Kiss the Dragon with Jet Li. This is when Jet Li I think he'd done, what was the movie? Romeo Must Die. And obviously Lethal Weapon 4, he was the villain in Lethal Weapon 4, but he did Romeo Must Die, and then I think he followed it up with this, and then things like Cradle to the Grave, and there was another one as well, I can't remember what it was called, The One, I think it was. I think The One came out around the same time as this. This is from 2001. This is written by Luc Besson and Robert Mark Kamen. Robert Mark Kamen wrote The Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid. I can have a drink because my mouth's going dry. And this is Jet Li and Bridget Fonda pre-retirement, just after, I guess you could say, when she showed up in Jackie Brown, the Tarantino film. Interesting thing about this is that Bridget Fonda is in a Luc Besson film. This is a Luc Besson. Well, it's not directed by Luc Besson. It's directed by Chris Nehon. This is written and produced by Luc Besson. And Bridget Fonda played the title role in the film The Assassin, aka Point of No Return, which is a remake of Luc Besson's La Femme Nikita from 1987, I think it was. And so it's nice to see her return into the world of Luc Besson. This is a very cool film. It is a film about a government agent from China who arrives in Paris to assist a French police officer. It turns out that he's very, very corrupt, and Jet Li's character has got a hidden agenda. His agenda there is to go and break up a international drugs conspiracy thing, or to uncover an international drugs conspiracy. Mission goes horribly wrong, and he gets betrayed and ends up being found by an American woman played by Bridget Fonda, who helps nurse him back to life. I say nurse him back to life, but nurse him and stuff. And then basically Jet Li's character then for the majority of the film is on a roaring rampage of revenge against the corrupt police officer who betrayed him. Insanely good martial arts action sequences in this. There's a very cool fight in a police station between Jet Li and I think it's two French martial artists. I'm not 100% sure, but so the 90s, well, not the 90s, but the late 2000s has some really cool sort of French American co-productions or some French action films that were from produced by Luc Besson. So you've got things like I said, The Transporter, the Taxi movies. You've got District 13 or Banlieue District 13. Danny the Dog, again with Jet Li. What else was there that came out around the same time? Yeah, just a lot of interesting French action movies, and this was no exception. This is a very cool film. I haven't watched this in a while, so I may actually watch this tonight, see if my brother wants to watch this. But we are actually currently on the playlist is The Outlaw Johnny Black, starring Michael Jai White, which is I guess a sort of another spoof on like 1970s blaxploitation movies, like Michael Jai White's previous movie, which was Black Dynamite. So yeah, Kiss the Dragon, very cool movie. And finally, the one of the single most underrated films a huge movie star could ever have. And considering the people who are in this, you've got Billy D. Williams, Lindsay Wagner, Persis Kambata from Star Trek, the motion picture, Nigel Davenport, and Rutger Hauer. But the reason I say it's one of the most underrated films for such a big superstar, and I went through those and they're not huge, massive stars, is because this film, like, the starring role is Sylvester Stallone, and it's Nighthawks. Nighthawks is fucking cool. This film just, like, it's barely seen by anyone. When you talk about Sylvester Stallone, no one ever talks about fucking Nighthawks, and it sucks because like Nighthawks is so good. It's so good. Basically, it's about a police, two undercover cops, played by Sylvester Stallone and Billy D. Williams, who are trying to track down a international terrorist by the name of Wolfgar, played by Rutger Hauer, and he starts, like, he blows things up. Like, right at the beginning, he blows up a shopping centre in London, which has a very neat little cameo from Catherine Mary Stewart from Night the Creeps, and no, not Night the Creeps, Night the Comet and The Last Starfire. And so it's basically then a cat and mouse game between Wolfgar and Sylvester Stallone's character, who is called Deke De Silva. And yeah, very cool movie. It ends with a cable car sort of action sequence over a river. It's a very good film, and like I said, it's never really talked about when people talk about Stallone's filmography, which really sucks. I mean, again, like, more films that Stallone has been in that aren't ever talked about are like Lock Up and Over the Top, and what else was there that he did in the 1980s? Like Lock Up especially. People really, you don't see a lot of talk about Cobra, but Cobra's still it's quite a quintessential 80s action movie, but it's always the Rambo movies and the Rocky movies. No one ever really talks about these films. But Nighthawks is, like, so good. If you can get a copy of this on DVD, I don't know if it's been released on Blu-ray in the UK. I don't think it has. I think it's got a release in the States, maybe by Scream Factory or Shout Factory, on their Shout Select sub-label. And I think there's a release in Germany, but I'm not 100% sure. But this DVD is from Universal. And now Universal, I think, are opening up their... is it Universal? It might be MGM. No, it would be Universal, because Universal made The Last Starfighter and Arrow released this. Arrow needs to do this. Arrow needs to release Nighthawks. Fucking come on, Arrow. I will actually give you money then, Arrow, if you release Nighthawks. But yeah, very cool movie. Directed by Bruce Malmuth. Who was it written by? David Shaver. And produced by Martin Pohl. This is 135 minutes long, and it is from 1981. So yeah, Nighthawks, very cool movie. Very, very, very cool movie. Definitely worth your time. So that's 4 movies that I've selected from my DVD collection to talk about underrated films that aren't really talked about that often. And I was going to add this one, because I don't think many people really talk about this film as well. I don't think many people really know about this film, but it's the movie The Most Wanted, starring Keenen Ivory Wayans and Jon Voight. This is a very good film as well. This came out in 1997, I think. Yeah, I think it was 97, 98. I just kind of got lost, but being a massive movie nerd, I know about it and stuff. Check this out, it's pretty cool. Keenen Ivory Wayans plays a Gulf War hero and a highly trained army specialist, and he's convicted of killing a superior officer. Shortly before his execution, he is given a reprieve and asked to join an elite ultra-covert assassination squad. Let me say that without assassination squad. An ultra-covert assassination squad, and assigned to murder a wealthy, though corrupt, industrialist at the official opening of a medical centre. But when the hit goes wrong and the president's wife is killed, he is made the scapegoat, and then it's a cat and mouse chase between this covert group of assassins trying to take out Keenen Ivory Wayans, his highly trained skills as an army specialist come into play, and yeah, it's really cool. Like, really good, really fun movie. Who directed it? I think it was Keenen Ivory Wayans. I can't even read that. Directed by. Let's have a look. Who directed Most Wanted? Let's go back up to the top. Let's see, you're probably going to give me Muppets Most Wanted. Oh yeah, there we go, Most Wanted. More popular matches. Oh, so yeah, 1997, Most Wanted came out. And it was directed by David Hogan. David Hogan also directed... What else did you also direct, David Hogan? Barbed Wire. And which is a terrible movie. It's got 3.5 on IMDb, by the way, which I believe is coming out from 101 Films, maybe, and I may actually purchase it, even though it's a terrible film. He was a second unit director on Batman Forever, but he also directed as a Most Wanted, Barbed Wire. And he's most specifically a music video director. So like the 2 movies that David Hogan has directed are Most Wanted and Barbed Wire. One's awful and the other one is Barbed Wire. No, I'm joking. Yeah, Most Wanted, cool movie. Written by Keenen Ivory Wayans as well. So there we go. That's technically 5 movies. I know I just added Most Wanted right at the end, but it's a good, underappreciated 90s action film from Keenen Ivory Wayans. That fits along well with Low Down Dirty Shame as well, with Keenen Ivory Wayans 2, which is also a great action comedy from the 90s. But there we go, that is 5 movies. We went through Deadly Pursuit, aka Shoot to Kill, Kiss the Dragon, Men of War, Nighthawks, which I fucking love, and Most Wanted. So there we go. Thank you everyone for watching and commenting on the previous videos, and thanks for everyone for messaging me and saying I hope you find a job. I hope I find a job as well, because I don't like being unemployed. I've been employed. I have been in employment for the last 20 years. The longest I've been out of employment was 6 months when I got made redundant. I do not want that to be the same thing again. But I will continue to post stuff here for you to enjoy. My voice is going, and I'm going to need to go and have a cigarette because I need one. So yeah, thanks everyone. I will speak to you all soon. If you enjoyed this, if you want to see more underappreciated action movies or underappreciated sci-fi movies, horror movies and stuff, just comment below and let me know, and I will see you all on the flip side. So as usual, I'll give you a salute, I'm going to throw up the peace sign and tell you I am out. Thanks everyone. Cheers.